Have you ever thought that losing muscle and getting weaker is just part of getting older? It's what we're all told to expect. But what if that's not the whole story? What if it's mostly a myth? Today, we are diving into the science-backed habits of people called super-agers. These are folks in their 70s, 80s, and beyond who are not just holding on, they are actively rebuilding muscle. Let's get into their secrets.
First, let's just wrap our heads around the scale of the problem, because this number is a real shocker. By the time you hit 80, you could have lost up to half of the muscle you had when you were younger. 50%. Think about that. That's not some small decline. That impacts literally everything you do, every single day. And this isn't just about not being able to open a jar. This loss of strength has incredibly serious real-world consequences. We're talking more than 300,000 seniors ending up in the hospital every single year because of a fall. And those falls are almost always linked directly to muscle weakness. It's a huge threat to your independence. Now, this condition actually has a name. It's called sarcopenia. That's the clinical term for this involuntary loss of muscle strength and function that's so associated with aging. And for a long, long time, it was just accepted as a fact of life.
But here is the question that changes everything. Is it really inevitable? Does growing older have to mean growing weaker? Well, the latest research is pointing to a very powerful and honestly a very hopeful answer. And you can find that answer by looking at this incredible group of people, the super-agers. I mean, these are men and women in their 70s, 80s, even 90s who have the physical strength of people decades younger. They are the living, breathing proof that decline is not your destiny. So what is it they're doing differently? Well, we've figured out 7 of their key habits, and we're going to count them down for you. We'll start at the very foundation, building resilience right down at the cellular level with habits number 7 and 6.
So coming in at number 7 is an idea that might sound a little strange at first. You need to embrace good stress. Now, hold on. We are not talking about mental or emotional stress. This is all about brief, controlled physical challenges that actually signal your body to get stronger.
The science behind this is a principle called hormesis. You know that old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? Well, this is literally that. When you give your body a small, manageable dose of a stressor, it fires up all these cellular defense systems, which ultimately makes your muscles tougher and more resilient.
So how do you actually do this? It's way simpler than it sounds. You could try just ending your shower with 30 seconds of cold water. Or maybe you use a sauna. You could even try limiting your eating to an 8 or 10-hour window each day. Even something as simple as standing in a doorway and pushing against the frame as hard as you can for 10 seconds counts. These little challenges send a powerful signal to your body to stay strong.
All right, let's move on to habit number 6. Now, pretty much everyone knows protein is important for muscle, but super-agers understand a crucial detail. It's not just how much protein you eat, it's when you eat it. The timing is everything.
Here's the big difference. The common mistake so many of us make is saving up and getting most of our protein in one giant meal at dinner. The super-ager way, you spread it out. You aim for about 25 to 30 grams at breakfast, then again at lunch, and again at dinner. This gives your muscles a steady drip of those essential building blocks all day long. And the impact is just amazing. Just by changing when you eat your protein, without even changing the total amount, you can increase your body's muscle-building ability, its protein synthesis, by a whopping 25%. That is a massive return for such a simple change to your daily schedule.
Okay, we've got our foundation set. Now let's move on to habits 5, 4, 3, and 2. These are all about fine-tuning your body's internal machinery so it's primed for strength.
So habit number 5 is about fixing a massive but often invisible problem, vitamin D deficiency. Get this, studies show that a shocking 80% of seniors don't have enough of what some scientists now call the muscle vitamin. It's not just for your bones, it literally helps turn on the genes responsible for muscle growth.
And the difference it makes is huge. One study found that older adults with optimal vitamin D levels had 25% greater muscle strength than those with low levels. They also had better balance and quicker reaction times, which, as you know, is absolutely critical for preventing those dangerous falls.
So, you've got to have a plan. First things first, get a blood test so you know your numbers. You're aiming to be above 40. For most people, that's going to mean taking a supplement, usually somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 IUs a day, but please talk to your doctor. And here's a pro tip, pair it with vitamin K2. That helps make sure the calcium goes to your bones where you want it, not your arteries.
Habit number 4 is all about fighting a silent enemy that scientists call inflammaging. It's this chronic, low-grade inflammation that just kind of hums in the background as we get older. And it's a double whammy. It actually speeds up muscle breakdown and it blocks the signals for building new muscle. Super-Agers fight back with 3 key tools: getting quality sleep, eating for a healthy gut, and loading up on anti-inflammatory foods like omega-3s from fish and spices like turmeric.
Next up, habit number 3. You know, protein gets all the glory, but Super-Agers know that you have to focus on the key micronutrients too. Think of them like the essential support crew. They're the facilitators that make sure the protein you eat and the exercise you do can actually work effectively. For instance, magnesium is involved in over 300 different processes in your body, including muscle contraction, and it works hand in hand with other crucial players like creatine and B vitamins, things that many older adults are often low on. And coming in at number 2, we have one of the most forgotten pieces of the strength puzzle, the brain-muscle connection. Your nervous system is basically the power grid for your muscles. If that wiring starts to degrade, it doesn't matter how strong the muscle is. The signal from your brain can't get there with enough force. Super-Agers keep this grid strong with activities that demand coordination, things like dancing, playing tennis, or practicing Tai Chi.
We've now arrived at the number 1 habit, the big one. And before I even tell you what it is, just read this quote from researchers at the prestigious Tufts University. They called this one habit the most powerful anti-aging drug ever found.
So this is it. This is the single most important, most powerful action you can take to rebuild your strength and really turn back the clock on muscle loss.
The number 1 habit is resistance training. But, and this is a huge but, it's not the kind of exercise most people picture. See, there are 2 paths. There's the myth: gentle walks, some light water aerobics, using the same 5-pound weights forever. That approach feels safe, but it simply will not build muscle. Then, you've got the Super-Ager method, training with enough intensity to actually fatigue your muscles, always pushing to add a little more weight or 1 more rep, and focusing on big, functional movements like squats, rows, and presses. And for anyone out there thinking, oh, it's just too late for me, I want you to look at this. In one major study, older adults who started a 12-week progressive resistance program gained on average 3.3 pounds of lean, solid muscle. That is a life-changing amount of strength to get back in just 3 months. It's never too late.
So there you have it, the 7 habits that make all the difference. The science is crystal clear. We have so much more control over our strength and vitality as we age than we ever imagined. The secrets are out. The only question left is which one of these habits are you going to start with today to begin building your own stronger future?